This paper was presented at the JCT Traffic Signal Symposium 2024, thanks to our media partner Highways News, and sponsored by AGD Systems, Four-Way Consulting, Traffic Group Signals, Smart Micro UK, TRL Software, PTV Group, Census Networks, and Starling Technologies.
Okay, so this is me. During this presentation, as it says on there, I'm going to take you on a journey. It's a journey that we're taking our customers and systems on at the moment, from our standard parking guidance system all the way through into a full traffic management control system, and looking at what customer needs are and how we can support them there. Now, the reason we're looking at doing this is we've noticed this trend in the UK traffic environment, that over the next 26 years, 70% of the UK population will live in urban areas. That means now we need to start looking at what we can do in those urban areas to help that population growth and to help the traffic area cope with that increase. How people get around and what they do when they're in their vehicles. We can see from that stuck in traffic picture that I quite like, that people are spending more and more time in their vehicles. Probably everybody in this room, or majority of the people, came by car to this event. You probably were stuck in traffic, you had congestion, you had stress from actually getting here. So what we're doing is going from the parking guidance system into a full ITS system, taking as much data as we can that you already have available to you and more data that you can get hold of. Using that data in an informative way to then change your traffic systems, change driver behaviour, give them more options as to directions they can go and ease that congestion and stress. So in practice, what this means is we're looking to reduce congestion, reduce transmissions, encourage people to take public transport, utilise the parking guidance systems and the route planning. So actually guide people and change their perception of where they want to go in an area, which car parks they want to use, which routes they want to take. And all of that will eventually improve their efficiency of getting around your area. At SWARCO, you're probably aware, we've got a very large customer base of customers using our parking guidance system. So as a start, this is where we started from. And we're then using that parking guidance system knowledge to include key features, effective parking systems, and what we can do with that to move technology forward into a UTMC compatible system. Our biggest challenge, as probably all of you in here are aware, is from the local authorities having separate systems, separate portals, separate loggings to access their data. If on a daily basis you have to log into 6 systems to find out what you can do for your traffic, that's wasting an awful lot of your time. And what we're looking at doing is how we can manage all of those different pieces of data in one system to have a coherent, logical path to be able to change that behaviour and ease that congestion. Also, what we've also found is, as a result, not only do you have to log in and access this data separately, you then can't interrogate it when you're there. So a lot of people are having to download all this data offline, put it into separate spreadsheets, put it into separate Power BI reports, create a whole load of separate information to then plug into another system. All of this builds up and means that you're struggling to be proactive in what it is you want to change in this behaviour. So what we're doing is looking at connecting to current on-street equipment, as I was saying earlier, so that you don't need to replace everything. So that's signs, car park connections, traffic controllers, air quality systems, journey time systems. There's a whole raft of different data out there. And then being able to use that information that you're already being provided all in one system. We're also offering on this system full car park logic. So that means that you avoid having to create separate strategies to put your car park data onto your VMS signs. It's all done via a dynamic data source manager, which can change colours and dynamically update your data. So, what did we do? So we looked at a completely phased migration for taking customers from a legacy system into a full UTMC system. And that's really what this presentation and the white paper is about, how that journey took place. So first off, as I said, is a completely phased approach. We work with the customer to identify what their assets are, what timings work for them, whether they've got any big events on, whether they're ready to move certain assets across and things like that. Get their feedback on the proposed system that we're looking at doing for them, and then work with them to migrate specific assets that would work for them at certain times. What this looks like in practice is effectively 4 phases. So the first phase is a pilot phase. So in the pilot phase, we give customers full access to their own system. This can be their own assets, or this can be simulated assets that we can provide. And then the users take part in the pilot. They are provided training using their assets, training on the assets and the modules they're currently using. They get full recordings of all of those training modules and full hard copies of what those training modules look like. We also have people on support to help throughout that pilot phase. We have a meeting every 2 weeks to ensure that we can support the customer in running the pilot, ask questions throughout, and then we have a completion meeting to discuss the next phase. We take all types of feedback, what people have liked, what they don't like, how we can support them in the future if they actually want to migrate. If they do want to migrate, we go into the phase 1 of the implementation. This is all completely customer agreed, and this can be anywhere from 3 to 4 different small phases to move them across. This really depends on the size of the legacy system or the size of the system we are moving across from and until. We work to identify a very small number of assets, normally about 5 to 10, that are generally in the same geographic location. What we can do then is we make sure the customer feels comfortable with the monitoring and control of those assets, and we continue to monitor all of those assets and the data flow through the system so that we can ensure that the customer gets the best out of their pilot session. Then we move into a review stage, confirm that everybody is happy to move forward, they understand how to use the system, they understand the training they've been given, identify any issues they've found, and if they're happy to move to phase 2, guess what? We move to phase 2. So, in phase 2, very similar to phase 1, but we expand that amount of assets that are available to the customer. And once again, these are live, on-street assets that are then controlled. Once again, we pick a certain location or a group of locations where we move to phase 2. And once again, we can give that training and support through to ensure that everyone understands how the system works and what they can do with it. Phase 3 is the last phase. We remove all of the remaining assets off the legacy system and populate the platform for final testing. At this stage, generally the customer is confident and happy that they know how to use the system, information they can get out of the system, reports they can run, data they can run, how their different parts of their system can interact with each other. And once again, if there's any questions, we are on hand to help. From then, the customer has a migrated system. Their migrated system in this case is the MyCity platform that I showed at the beginning. And we have a whole variety of enhanced facilities on that platform available to stop those segregated systems. So this is very much where we look at where we can connect all this other data that you might have floating around in other portals, in other connections, in other on-street equipment or floating data equipment that you might have available to you, and how we can work together to pull all those into this one system. As you can see on this map, we can display all those on a map view. We've got list of views that we can do those on as well. And we can provide the data at what we class as at a glance view, so that you can then see any issues. You can see some links on there, so journey time issues. Any assets that have got issues would come up as red or as yellow if there was an issue on them. And from here, we can then use the strategy manager to create strategies around those. The more data you have in the system, the better the strategies are able to be created, because you can then use that data in a much more fluid way. If you've only got one piece of data in, you only have one piece of data to be able to make your decision on. The more data you've got in, the more useful decisions can be made. As you can see on here, there is a few different options of modules that are available. And please come and see me afterwards at the stand. I've got a whole raft of different modules and things that are available. But this system is completely modular. So if you are looking for a parking guidance system, it can be your parking guidance system. If you're looking for a parking guidance system with journey time information, it can be that. If you want a full UTMC system, it has that capability as well. So it's completely modular and scalable to your requirements and your data selection that you need. So, in conclusion, we are able to provide the support and guidance to create a holistic traffic management system, which is modular and scalable, which allows the enhanced traffic efficiency. It can reduce emissions and improve the quality of life. And this is just a quick blurb as to what it can offer. So if you want more information on that, please come and see us on the stand. So, any questions?
Should we be mean to Andy in one question? And there's one question just over there. Who's going to run to just that one there? Just a reminder, though, that Andy really she was very keen to stress to me about the importance of being able to show the facilities that they have at the stand. So do make sure that you go and take a look at, particularly at that sort of modular piece and the whole piece.
Thank you. Chris Kennett from Chris Kennett Consulting. I just happen to be familiar with not your work, but all of those sites that you mentioned there. And particularly with the ones I'm most familiar with, Cambridge and St Ives, the road networks immediately outside of those car parks are renowned for congestion, sometimes related to that car park and sometimes for other reasons. Yep. I was parked in Queen Anne on Sunday for works there. Have you, and presumably you can, but how can you take congestion information and feed that into the route guidance for car parking when you're kind of directing people with parking space numbers?
So what we can do with that is we take the car park information into the strategy manager, and we have Boolean logic in there where we can look at the occupancy or the number of free spaces and actually put a number against it. So we could say 80, if the car park is over 80% occupied, then I want to do something. You can then add further to that. So in Cambridgeshire County Council actually use One Network data for their journey times. So we actually have that already in the system. And we have a strategy that then can look at the journey times in that area. And if the journey time is over a specific amount, we can then set the VMS signs to, rather than just having route information, to having route information to direct people in a different location. And it's just literally a message on the sign. We can create that directly in the content library and direct people directly to a different area, just literally with the data that's coming in. And Cambridgeshire are doing exactly that in that location.
Brilliant, thank you.
Brilliant, thank you very much, Andy. Another hand for Andy, please, for her brilliant session.
Oh,